You're tuned into the Changing Winds podcast where bloodlines speak, bones remember, and no stories ask for permission to be told. I'm Alahanchi Molly. Pull up a chair or keep walking. I don't give a damn. You're tuned into the Changing Winds podcast where bloodlines speak, bones remember, and no stories ask for permission to be told. Hey everyone, I'm sorry I jumped on late. Was having some technical difficulties tonight. You're tuned into the Changing Winds podcast where bloodlines speak, bones remember, and no stories ask for permission to. Okay, so I'm sorry. I'm late. I wasn't even going to do it live tonight. But the reason I am is for some odd reason, the poem that I wrote was supposed to cover tonight, or it was supposed to drop yesterday, and it wasn't dropped because of a technicality. Um, I had put music in that was it was free reign, but it was too short, so they considered it a short, and it wasn't allowed. And so I decided to come on here tonight and read that to you. Discuss on some things that's going on. I also had an issue. I had 6 recordings already fixing to be done, and it all my work had been erased. So instead of just keeping people out of the loop, I decided to do a live tonight. I'm a little aggravated today. For one, my hands are burning and having my neuropathy stuff act up on me. And so I wanted to read this and explain it to you the best I can. Like I said, I had this was originally going to be a 4 or 5 minute video, and so I have to read it the way I have it here. There again, I'm sorry guys if I'm not looking straight at you at the camera, because all my stuff is up on like the other monitor, and I want to say I'm sorry that I'm not able to look at y'all in the eyes because while I'm doing it. And so I figured I would do something like this. And so, without further ado, I called this "The Wind That Changed Its Name." They called me by names I did not choose, gave me labels stitched from fear, tried to cage the wind in paper skin, and told me, "This is who you are." They crowned me with silence, baptized me in shame, said, "Be grateful for your erasure. It's cleaner this way." I was raised to be polite in the face of a thief, to speak gently while being unmade, to be a storm was growing behind my tongue, and the silence cracked like old earth. My body remembered what my blood could not say, that I did not belong to their names, the system to their gods, that somewhere deeper. I was waiting to be found. I came the night I should have died. Tires spinning, sky folding. My car is a coffin of steel and glass. But it did not end because three spirits stood still in the storm. My nanny and two more could not feel, but I could feel them but not name them. They stopped with they stopped what physics said could not be stopped. They whispered not yet, and the world held its breath. Then when he showed up, a native man I'd never seen before, grounded, familiar, in a way that made no sense. He helped me out, looked at me, and he didn't know, excuse me, guys, looked at me like he knew me my whole life and said, "See you around, little great one." My family used to call me that. I thought it was arrogant. But then he said the name that stopped time. "See you around, Alahanchi Molly." And the wind inside me finally recognized itself. So, this is how I got my native name. Uh, and I was trying to break it down so y'all could understand it. The visuals would have been a lot better. And I stumbled on my words, and I'm sorry. Wasn't in the mood. I'm just not in that kind of mindset. Uh, I'm sorry, but that's the poem that I wrote. And like I said, my family gave me Little Great One as a nickname. And I was on the way to school one day, and I give me a second. I gotta fix this. This is driving me batty. Okay. Um, I was driving to school one day. It had been raining several days, and I was driving a Mazda 323 hatchback. That was my first car, and I looked down, went to put a CD in, and my car started hydroplaning. And I was always taught, let off the gas, don't hit the brakes, and let the wheel do what it's going to do. So I did. Wound up in a ditch, not 5 minutes away from my house. It was more like 3 minutes away, right down the road. And at that, there's a cross, like you cut across, and there's turnaround spots all through it. And right in front of it is a pony ranch. It's been there for years. It's actually Shetland ponies. It's real small. They only get like maybe 2 or 3 foot off the ground, if that. I don't know how tall they really get. And mind you, part of this, and y'all are gonna, you atheists, the ones that I associate myself with, because I am atheist when it comes to Christianity. And anyway, I look up, and my grandmother, my nanny, died in 1998. She was my rock. Every time I was scared or I would lean into her. And so when this happened, uh, Nanny's likeness was there. And I'll tell you this part too. There was two beings that I did not know what they were. Some would say angels, some would say archangels, some would say, and I've discussed this with other people other than Christianity people. I've discussed it with Christians too. And that's why I can't say much about this, is because I think the beings were there to give me extra protection. Now, mind you, my nanny was about 5'4", 5. I think I'm a little taller than what she was, a little taller. So I'm 5'5", so I don't really know how big a lady she was. But I know I was taller than her when I was in 8th grade. So anyway, and the other beings, their feet were on the ground. Now, I'm going to give you a description of them. Your description may say, oh, those are really angels. Those are from God. Take with it what you will, but they were huge beings because she was at head level with them, and she was at least 4 foot, 4 or 5 foot off the ground. Now, I had a deja vu moment at that time. I remember having a dream, but this stuff wasn't in the dream. Okay, this was not in the dream. All the things that happened, like me letting go of the wheel and me letting off the gas and letting the car do its thing and the whole me putting the CD, that was all there. This part was totally more. And these beings had huge wings, gold and silver shackles around their feet and wrists, well, ankles and this wrist. And I watched a teardrop fall from my Aunt Nanny's eye. It went to her feet and dissolved. When I looked up, they were gone. So I got out of the car and assessing the problem. Any of y'all know what a 92 Mazda 323 hatchback, how tall they are off the ground? They're not very tall. They're probably, if I was to say, 6 to 8 inches off the ground. So I wound up in the median in red clay. And I let, like I said, I let out the wheel. My car hit something and jarred it to the right. My car was literally about 2 inches from catching grip to the road. But since my car was so low to the ground, it wasn't able to catch grip with the road. That plays into a factor of what goes on next. So I could not open my door. I had to climb through my window. Good thing I had roll down windows. Crawled out my window, and right at that turnaround, old blue white Ford pickup truck pulls up, and he calls me Little Great One. And I'm used to that being called that because that's what my mom, my dad, my Uncle Johnny, anybody in my family, other than my Aunt Ann, but everybody else, that's what they would call me. And I used to hate it because I thought it just seemed arrogant for my mom to call me something like that. And I really didn't like it. But it is what it is. This gentleman calls me that. And he says, "Are you on your way to school?" Well, of course, uh, on my way to school. Well, hop in, grab your stuff, and I'll take you. And a lot of people, stranger danger. And this is 2001, something like that. I jump in, I throw my bags in the back of the truck, and he's sitting there, and he just, I don't even remember us what we really talked about. He was, talking about, I don't remember. And I remember looking around in his truck. He had a dream catcher up, a tomahawk. He had Native American stuff everywhere. And some of y'all are going to say, oh, stereotypical of Native. No, look, dream catchers, he's dark skin, long hair, no facial hair. I recognize it as a Native American. Hello. And he pulls up to school and he says, I'll see you around, little great one. And I said, thank you for taking me to school. And he said, no problem changing winds. I didn't realize that at that time. My aunt comes running in. Where's your car? What's wrong? What happened? And I'll tell her I didn't tell her all that, but I told her what had happened. I told you should have rode the bus. I was like, look, I needed to be at school at 4:30. I had to be there at 4:30. Couldn't ride the bus. I had to be at school at 4:30 every morning for being on work program. I called my boss from my work program teacher and I said, look, you can verify this with my teacher. I can't come in today. My car is stuck in the median. So I was excused from work. I was friends with one of my, he was an explorer for police officer. That's what he was going to be doing. He wanted doing EMS now. He was going to be DPS and stuff like that, but life changes. And so I told him, I said, hey, you mind having you and a couple of other officers come out and check to make sure, get me out, because he had a big truck and could pull me out. He's like, yeah, man, I'll get them to come out with me. So I jumped in his truck at about time for me to get out of school with him too. So we get there, and the officer's pulling behind him, and he's assessing the situation, the crime scene, so to speak. And the officers, and he said, if you put a caught grip, he goes, was the road busy? I said, yeah, it was busy. He goes, you would have flipped forward and probably would have died. Okay, that made my hair stand up on my arms. And I said, well, he gave me this card with this address on it. And he looked at it. He's like, hang on, let me, one of the officers look at it. So they came over and they're sitting there, man, you're lucky, blah, blah, blah. And I asked one of the officers, I said, do you know where this address is? He's like, yeah, I know where that address is. What is it? I said, the guy that gave me a ride, the school gave it to me. And he says, that's deer lease. That's somebody else's property. That's nobody's. That's nobody's there. I said, well, he gave me this address. He's like, I'm telling you. I said, okay. He's like, you want me to take you? I said, yeah, take me out there. So he took me out there. He had the owner come out. And he's like, what's wrong? I said, they gave me this address. And it's gated up, locks, everything. He's like, deer leases, it's not even open right now. I said, okay, well, they gave it to me. So the landowner's sitting there thinking somebody's on his land. And he goes to get his guns and stuff. And I say, hey, don't do all that crap. He's like, well, if he's, I'm like, don't know. So I'm, friends with a police officer, and they're like, okay, we're a police officer. If something happens, we're out there. Well, we look around, nothing's been disturbed, and there's a pond. Was a pond in the middle of in somewhere on the property. And I walk up, and there's a fire that had been there recently, and it had been raining. Okay, been raining. Everything was wet, but the fire looked like it had just went out because it was still smoking. Landowners freaking livid. If y'all find, and I'm like, no, look, I think it's a spirit, and they're like, no, you're so full, you know. Never did find anything. So, what am I supposed to do with that information? What am I supposed to do with it? I get that information in my psyche. Sorry, guys. And I can't change what I think and know. So, that being said, I still have two other videos on this. Um, Hopefully, they will be able to be dropped and you can watch them. And I'm sorry that I was late coming to the party today. Um, Technical difficulties, not to mention a lot of work down the drain. And normally I'm a lot more mellow, but today I'm just not. And but I can't I can't say yes or no. All I know is what I saw, the evidence of what I saw. And that's why I don't look to the Bible for things. I do have something in the works, and it will drop, and y'all will understand. But I wanted to come on here and give you because I wanted to show the video, and it was really good, but I copyright stuff was clear. I clearly could use the music to it, but since it was considered a short, I couldn't. So anyway, I hope that this gives you some clarification on the way I feel. And like I promised, there's gonna be some stuff um, coming up. I'm reworking what I had planned, but I wanted to stay true to myself. At least come on and do it live and tell you this part of the story. But guys, hopefully, which it always does, this neuropathy stuff comes and goes. Days I have dizziness and other things going on. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for allowing me to give you this part of my story. And I hope y'all have a good week. I'll probably do a live next week too. Um, guys, it's going to be at the end of the video, but I'm asking that I have 49 subs. I'm one away from 50. Please, if you're not subscribed, please do so. I need 50 because what I have in the works, I have to do this doing lives. And I need to do it live so that y'all can interact with it. I'm actually going to start doing some of my hobbies with I have to use my phone. To unlock live feeds through my phone and vertical live streams. I have to have 50, and I'm at 49. And I've been building some pretty cool stuff that y'all probably would not guess that I do this kind of stuff, but I want to do it online and show you as Stacy has arrived, y'all. I didn't even see your hand wave.
My hair looks like it's been through war.
You have been through war.
This is all dry.
Yes. But anyway, guys, that's the live for this week. Y'all have a good one. Ollie Hunty Molly here. I need a favor. Look, can you like it, dislike it, share it, or pretend you didn't see it? Just don't scroll in silence. Hit the subscribe, drop a comment, 7 words minimal, make them count. Oh, and if you get the taste, grab some merch. Links will be in the description. Support the story. Ollie Hunty Molly here. I need a favor. Look, can you like it, dislike it, share it, or pretend you didn't see it? Just don't scroll in silence. Hit the subscribe, drop a comment, 7 words minimal to make them count. Oh, and if you get the taste, grab some merch. Links will be in the description. Support the story. Ollie Hunty Molly here. I need a favor. Look, can you like it, dislike it, share it, or pretend you didn't see it? Just don't scroll in silence. Hit the subscribe, drop a comment, 7 words minimal to make them count. Oh, and if you get the taste, grab some merch. Links will be in the description. Support the story. Ollie Hunty Molly here. I need a favor. Look, can you like it, dislike it, share it, or pretend you didn't see it? Just don't.